Good morning, everybody in the You Are Worthy Network. So good to be with you. I was just telling Craig that I felt like a kid on a bicycle. I haven't done one of these interviews in a week. I've missed all you guys. Uh, my family and I took a few days to just unwind. We were so blessed to have somebody gift us a little bit of their timeshare, and we went to a part of the state we live in, which is Tennessee. That actually, all the many years we've lived in Tennessee, I couldn't believe we hadn't been to this part of the state. But it was just what we needed. Lots of downtime, lots of touring the little village there we were in, lots of laughter, lots of building memories as a family, taking a little hike here and there. We just had a blast, but didn't do too much, if that makes sense. And that's just what the Lord knew we needed. So that's why we haven't been on here in a few days, but it's great to be back. I'm excited to introduce you to Craig here in just a second. And because it's the first time in a week, I'm excited to remind you that you are indeed worthy of love, respect, and success. And it's not based on your emotions, it's based on what Jesus did for you. And it's based on how much he loves you, that he died for you. So be encouraged that your story's not over. If you're here today, there's a reason. And God has a purpose for your life, and He's not done with your life by a long shot. So great to be back. Thank you guys for watching. So let me tell you a little bit about Craig, and then we'll jump into our interview with him. Craig Washington, aka Coach Craig, is a board certified master mental health coach, author, transformational leader who helps men heal what they hide. As the founder of Guided Grace Christian Services and creator of the movement, I don't talk about it, but I need to, Craig empowers men to face grief, trauma, and emotional pain with faith and purpose. Specializing in grief and loss, Coach Craig walks alongside men who feel stuck between who they were and who God is calling them to become. With over 25 years of leadership experience, he blends biblical truth, real life transparency, and practical coaching to guide others through seasons of pain, rebuilding, and rediscovery. Through his brotherhood initiatives, speaking engagements, and podcast Sundays with Coach Craig, he challenges men to move forward in faith and purpose, reminding every listener that your next step matters. So let's take it together. Craig, I love, love, love what you're doing. Welcome to the You Are Worthy Network.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Glad to be here today.
Yeah, I'm so tempted to jump right in,
Go
but
ahead.
experience tells me it's better to ease into it.
It's,
Um,
it's ready to be in season or out of season. Doesn't matter to me.
yeah, I know that's right. That is so true. Craig, tell us where you're from.
I am from, I was born in Flint, but I lived in Grand Rapids, Michigan for pretty much all my life. I just moved down to San Antonio, Texas, about October 7th of this year, helping a friend of mine get a kidney. Um,
Mm.
so uh, that's about it, really. That's where so I'm down here enjoying the cold and the hot at the same time.
Well, it's not Flint cold, that's for sure, right?
No, 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 not at all.
Excuse me. Well, tell us about that because I've talked to you about it, and I know your heart about it. And you just said that so matter of fact. I moved to San Antonio. I'm donating. But tell us about your friend and how that came about.
Well, he's a godfather of my three children,
Mm,
Alex, Kyla, and Malachi. So we've known each other for a long period of time. He was over in Japan. He's a therapist, so he was over there contracting with some people over there, and He just was letting me know he wasn't doing well. He wasn't feeling good. So then they find that he's on dialysis. So they said he's going to need a kidney soon.
Mm,
So I offered mine. And so what happened is we're going to have to do, I can't, it's a transfer. So I can't think of the name offhand, but because he's A positive, I'm B positive. So my kidney will go to somebody with a B positive or whichever can match, and then that person or whoever. So it could be three, it could be four people, and we're going to be just moving kidneys around. So it just came on, hey, we're called this, you hear people say, well, man, that's awesome. I don't know if I could do that. And I'm like, well, God created us. God created us to help one another. So I said, it doesn't matter if he's, my best friend, brother, like brother, it doesn't matter. We're called to sacrifice. And we have two, so it's not going to be hard for me to give up one. Because the miraculous thing about the creation or how we were created by God is how our body adjusts to certain things. If we lose our eyes and become blind, we have better hearing, or vice versa. So our body is created to still work in instances when things are missing because we are fearfully and wonderfully made.
yeah, I appreciate what you said. We're called to sacrifice. I think it's still remarkable, and I know you don't want to camp here for too long, so I won't belabor it. But I think it's still remarkable that you offered to sacrifice versus being asked, and that's what a true servant does. It's a great way to start off our interview because it just shows your sacrificial heart,
Hmm.
and your friend is lucky to have you. And I know you're
Hmm.
grateful for him being the godfather of your children as well. How many children do you have, by the way? You
At
said
three.
three?
Yep.
Three. Okay.
Hmm.
What are their
Three. And then,
ages?
let's see. Oh, goodness. 30. I'm gonna mess this up. I know I am. Uh, my youngest is 25. Middle's 27, and I think my oldest is 33, 34, something like that. I know I'm messing it up, so I'll get corrected later, but
That's fine. It does get a little harder as they get older, that's for
uh-huh.
sure. Craig, tell us. So I cannot wait to get into how you're helping men now, but give us a
Okay.
little bit of your background before that. You were a church leader for a number of years, correct?
Yep, I was started out as youth minister, then got to went to elder and then associate pastor. So I've been around ministry for pretty much the last 25 years. So that's how I got involved. I just, it was something I didn't want. I never said, hey, I wanted to be a pastor, or now I want to be a youth. But I've never been one to just go after that stuff. I says God has a sense of humor because he's like, okay, all right, you're not going after it, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway. So he's put me around people that have placed me in spots, and I have a heart for the people. I don't care what title you have, presiding bishop, reverend, whatever you have. If you don't have a heart for the people, you're just in a title.
Yep.
And titles mean nothing. He doesn't say, "Well done, my good and faithful bishop, pastor." It doesn't, minister. It says, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." So you can have all those titles all you want. I just want to be a servant. Because when I'm a servant, that means I'm serving God's people, not just in it for money or just in it just to be seen or I like the fanfare. No, it's a servant's mentality is, hey, whatever you needed to be done needs to be done. I've picked up people, I've been part of bus, picked up people, put people in hotels, counseled, coached, all that stuff, and never, I never asked for anything back. It's never, well, you got, if I don't do, you do that, I do this for you, then you got to do this for me. No, it's freely given, and hope that they freely receive it. So that's how I operate. That's how I move because we are in a society that's so selfish right now.
Yeah, and God knew your heart, and he needs men of influence in those positions to serve from the heart. I got into it a little bit different than you. I did ask for it. My joke about that is be careful what you ask for.
That's for.
Uh,
Hmm.
because you're right. It's not about those other things,
Right.
and you learn real quick that you have to deny yourself and you have to stay connected to the vine in
Hmm.
order, because we're just human, right? Yeah,
Hmm.
we can let the world get on us. I call it the dust. The dust gets on our heart just like everybody else if we're not
Right.
connected to the vine. And as we're connected to the vine, we will definitely serve his people. So I
Hmm.
really love your servant's heart. So I'm assuming that, and maybe there's more to it than this, but just to get the conversation rolling, I'm assuming it's through those years of ministry that you started to notice a pattern specifically with men not being open with their lives. I know for me, my experience has been that's true, but even when we as men do open up a little bit, maybe this isn't fair. You tell me what you think. We tend to only open up in levels. Like we never can get the whole depth of our heart out there at one time. It's like, come back next week and I'll tell you some more. Maybe we don't say it overtly like that, but we're like secretive in how much we share and when we share it. But tell us how you started helping men.
Well, first I had to look at myself. The reason I did it, started it because I had things going through my life. I went through being in a church for over 20 plus years. Did everything, was part of everything, gave ton of money financially, but after a while, it became more of the authority begin to abuse. And this is where you get into church hurt, or you hear people talk about religious trauma, because there is a PTSD, but it's a religious PTSD. So, and then also another thing that goes on that, men, we are taught not to show emotions. We are told not to cry. We are told to keep it to ourselves. And this is what has happened. And then going through, and a lot of the stuff I'm using and going through is what I've been through. I don't talk about it, but I need to. If you ask a man, certainly, if you just ask a man, how are you doing? They're going to say, I'm fine, I'm okay. But that is just a fluff. See, when we're talking, we have to get through. I'll use example of peeling an onion. You have to peel off the layers, and with men, we have to peel off the layers. And as men, if you're not doing nothing for us, we don't trust you. You have to prove yourself for us to open up. But still, even with that, because of society, well, if you can't take care of your house, scripture says you can't take care of your house, worse than an infidel. But when we look at how we are moving and how we're talking, we are very careful because we don't want to be looked at as a weak man. Oh, that man doesn't know. Oh, that man can't take care of his household. That man can't take care of this. This man can't do this. But they really never get a true understanding of what that man's been through. A lot of men have been through abuse. A lot of men have been molested. A lot of men have been so degraded that they don't know how to operate. And you hear all these talk, well, the men need to do this, do that. The men, from different points of views, but every man is different. And so when you get a man at a point where he's broken, when he doesn't know what to do, he's not going to open up until he finds a secure group of people that will actually lift him up. biblically, pray with them, fast with them. At the old church I went to, was part of assistant pastor at the Bread House Highland Church. Every first Saturday of the month, we had what we called a men's breakfast. And this men breakfast, we would come in, we would have a speaker, we would eat breakfast, or we eat breakfast first. Everybody would bring in food. Then we ate, after we got done eating breakfast, one of us would pick a topic to talk about. And then the last part we had what I call an open forum. An open forum was we were able to talk how we're feeling, what we're going through. And what I loved about it was young men, uh, uh, men, and, seniors, elders, all that group was in there so we could give advice, give examples. Somebody say, "Hey, I can't, I'm having a hard time finding a job." And then one person that worked in the job market was like, "Hey, give me a call." One person would be like, "Hey, I'm having problems in my marriage. This is what's going on." Then the older ones that have been married for 30, 40, 50 years would give their wisdom and advice on the things they should do. And, not everybody talked. It took someone like, I would say, about 6, 7 months for them to really open up because they were watching. And as they begin to watch, they watch these guys begin to open up. They watch guys cry. There was never any judgment. We've had people talk about committing suicide. We've had people talk about, they just want to give up and just do something. Whatever came to their heart, we discussed it. And then at the end of it, we prayed for people. We had somebody had cancer. We prayed. God took the cancer away, went into remission. So we're a lot of places are missing that openness without the judgment, because there is a righteous judgment and then there's evil judgment.
Mm.
Righteous judgment is dealing with, as a lot of people get upset, "You're judging me." No, the righteous judgment is, I'm correcting. I'm telling what you need to do biblically to correct yourself. Evil is just, I'm just talking about you, degrading you, and all the rest of that stuff. So we need to hear that, and me going through that and me dealing with that has really opened up. Well, Lord, what do I need to focus on? Lord, what can I do to help? You know, I use my experiences. And I've been through that stuff. I felt alone even in ministry, people that are in ministry, pastors. Do you know how many pastors feel alone? There are so many pastors that feel alone. Reason because we preach, you're good with us for a minute, and then you don't like us. When we're not taking care of your kids, you're upset, but you're judging our kids. We hold this weight on us. So we're holding the weight of what God wants us to do, helping run a building, then having to come home and deal with stuff. So, and then you're appreciated and not appreciated. You're loved and unloved. You're talked about on Facebook, what you're not doing, but then you're talking about so it goes up and down. So we as in that position feel alone, and even being that man part makes me even more heavier, because the pressure is always on us. Not only, see, people think, we got to remember God holds us accountable for what we're even doing in our home.
Mhm.
So God's looking at us. We got our members, worshipers looking at us. We have our spouses looking at us. We have our kids looking at us. And then all this pressure, we don't know where to take it sometimes. We pray, we fast. Yes, we do those things, but we need to get out of, men have to be so hard that they can't show emotions. Let them cry. Let them get some things off their chest. Let them say some things. Men they need that. And because of society, how we've put in place men in that role of, they always got to be so hard, they always got to be so tough, don't cry, don't do anything. So when the time for us to come really show emotions, we don't know how. And when we show emotions, a lot of people don't know how to take it. They don't know how to take it because they're like, "Man, this person ain't never talked like this." See, when God softens your heart, When you get to someone who's going to help you examine yourself through the Word of God, you're going to begin to open up and do things that you normally wouldn't do. And a lot of people don't know how to answer that question or respond to people when God finally releases them and they're able to say, hey, this is how I feel. This is what I'm going through. But soon as someone says, da da da, they speak negative, or you're not being a man, the man goes back into his shell. And when the man goes back into his shell, now it's going to be harder. But that's why it's so important that we have ministries that have men groups that men can go to and build them up and lift them up and help them with the Lord's help to get them to where they need to be. And we want your next step matters. Let's take it together. Your next step matters so much because if you're not taking those next steps, you're going to stay where you are and you're going to push people away. Your marriage is going to go down. Your relationship with God is going to go down because of that. You know, now it matters that, okay, now I find a group to talk to. Now I find a network to talk to. Now I become part of something. Now I become part of the men's ministry or whatever ministries or whatever group you're joining to help you go to where you need to go.
I absolutely love this conversation. I think just let me comment on a couple things here
Okay, go
because
ahead.
even going back to what you said at the beginning of your answer of so many men say I'm fine, and they're giving the worldly answer that everybody else gives. They're giving you what I call the Heisman, like I'm good. We don't need to go any deeper. And I've got a joke about that. That fine is actually the Christian four-letter F word.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not trying to get grotesque here, obviously, but
Right.
fine is saying I'm good, hands off.
Hmm.
And we do need to go deeper. We do need to explore what is fine. And oftentimes you're not going to get that in passing conversation and
Right.
fellowship. You have
Right.
to set up times like you're talking about a men's group or whatever to do a coffee, a lunch, whatever. And men do, Craig and I are here to dispel some falsehoods. Men need to talk.
Hmm.
Men not only should talk, they need to talk. Real men of Jesus do cry. Real
Hmm.
men of Jesus are vulnerable. Matter of
Hmm.
fact, they lead with vulnerability.
Hmm.
I'm not saying it's easy, and I could go into a whole conversation about how much to share and when it's appropriate to share and how much. That's not what we're here to do today. But I want to give an example of something, and it's right in alignment with what Craig's talking about. I used to lead a men's purity group for our church many, many years ago, and we would have this check-in process. So there was structure to it at the beginning, and then it was very open dialogue as you
Hmm.
as you went along. And the sign in was simply, or the check-in process was simply your name, because you would have people, some people visiting and whatnot, and they would communicate, without going into too much detail, how their week was, what the victories were, what the low points were, and it was the check-in process was a tool to open up engagement, and it was a
Hmm.
requirement. Um, and I remember guys, not everybody, but you'd have three or four guys. This check-in stuff is stupid. I don't want to do that. Well, it's part of the group, maybe this isn't the group for you if you don't want to do that. Um, so there'd be little rumblings about it, which was normal. And I remember one time I took and they would always have it in front of them. In front of each chair was the check-in process. And I didn't put the process out one time. And we opened up, and I kid you not, almost every guy, where's the check-in process? I want to talk about it. I want to talk. It reinforced to me, guys really do want to open up. They
Hmm.
just need a safe place to do it.
Hmm.
And I love that you're giving them that. And you're right. It doesn't always happen instantaneously. I tell people all the time that are big proponents of accountability, which I am too. But some people can get a little on their high horse about accountability. You need to be open. This is what you should be doing.
Hmm.
Well, be careful with that because and you're being legalistic or maybe a little harsher about it,
Hmm.
then your trust with them, your credibility with them could be waning.
Hmm.
How about you build a safe place with them? How about you build trust with them? How about you be vulnerable with your life first? And guess what? Things start to change. They'll organically share with you. So what's my point in saying all that? Trust, compassion, and love are greater than accountability. They're
Hmm.
bigger than accountability. Craig, you prove yourself to be compassionate towards me, invested in me, care about me and my family, care about my ministry, care about what's going on in my life as a man. Forget the title, like you said
Hmm.
earlier, just man to man, brother to brother.
Hmm.
I'm going to open up to you because you've built deposits into my life. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Hmm. Yep. Perfect. And that's what we need.
So, so tell us a little bit about the changes that the Lord is making in these men in these settings that you provide for them.
It's now they're beginning to open up. They're beginning to trust God. They're beginning to really look at themselves and know there's some, they know they're not the only one in that position.
Mhm.
Many times when men go through things, we think we're the only ones going through it. We think we're the only ones having to deal with a bad marriage. We think we're the only one that has to deal with people stabbing us in the back. We think we're the only ones, and it's good to hear that other men have went through and been able to go to that next step. See, when you see another man that's been through what you, this is what I love about God. God is always going to put someone in your way that's been through what you've been through.
Yeah.
God is going to put you in. So if you had somebody who was molested in their life and was able to get through it, God is going to put that person in your way that dealt with it, dealt with the trauma, dealt with the hurt, dealt with the pain, decided to forgive, pray for that person, even sent that person a letter if they wanted to, and even I'd tell them to turn their life over to Christ. But being able to see that person go to that next level and say, "Oh man, if he can do it, I can do it." But showing, but then putting them around a God-centered lifestyle, because I couldn't have made this without God's help. Yes, I had good days. Yes, I had uh, bad days. Yes, I had some oof. I had dealt with the good, the bad, the ugly. But at the end of the day, I trusted God. I trusted the process. And that's what men have to do. We have to trust the process. No matter how bad it hurts, we have to trust God's process because we have to remember we are the clay, God is the potter. In order for the impurities and all the rest of that and be able to be molded, we have to go through that fire so God can mold us. And if there's a crack in it, oh, I need to fix this crack. So God is continuously working on us that. And the men have to see that God is continually working on that. And they'll see somebody, they'll be like, man, I had to deal with this for 5 years. But guess what? I'm over it now. But it came by fasting, it came by praying, it came by men's Bible study group, it came by hearing the word, it came by just somebody really showing me the love of Christ, the love of Christ, not the love of you. Because when we're in our flesh, we have good
Mm,
days and we have bad days.
that's right.
But when we show the love of Christ, that is what's going to impact. men. It's showing that love, and then they'll be able to see, and then they're able to grow. And we, as in a leadership role or a coaching role, must let God do it and let them go through the process because they may fall back. But the goal is to keep encouraging them, keep lifting them up. And like one of my things, Jeremiah 6 and 16, we get to a crossroads in our life and we don't know which way to go. And we think some ways are better, but sometimes we got to go back to those old ways. We got to listen to God. We got to put ourselves in God's hands. We got to lay at the altar. We got to lay prostrate. We just got to sometimes just say, Lord, no matter what happens, I give it to God. And once the men start to see that and start to see the elevation, then they'll start to see the healing and then they'll start to impact other people because other men will say, "Hey, he opened up, and I had one person go, man, I can tell he turned his life over to Christ. He don't ever open up like he did." Because we're in a group men's meeting, and like he don't ever open up like that. And the guy was like, "I was proud of you because I've never heard you open up. I even never heard you say what you said before. I didn't even know that's what you were going through." And then he said, "I'm here to support you." But just we forget how powerful community is.
Yeah.
Hebrews 10:25, not forsaking the assemblings of ourselves together, no matter which is. When people get mad, well, I don't want to go. Listen, you have to go because these are the things that's going to help you to grow. You can't do it on your own. You can do every Bible study, you can watch every sermon online or whatever, or just go on whatever it is. But if you don't have a community of people, goes for men and women, if you don't have a community, youth too, a community that you can talk to, you are not going to survive because you don't have those pillars. You don't have those support.
Well, yeah, and that passage in Hebrews 10 that you just referenced, not only do you need to go, but guess what? It's not all about you either. There may
Right.
be somebody there you need to serve that day that you're going.
Hmm.
And we don't want to minimize pain. That's the last thing we're
Right.
trying to
Right.
do. I am encouraged when somebody pushes through their wilderness, their
Hmm.
tough times, whatever it may be, because one of the primary ways you're going to get through it is serve your way through it.
Hmm.
And you have to be there to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, there's other ways to do it as well. But so I'm interested, Craig, in have you like some of the teachings that's come from this? Do you have those in a book? Do you have those online somewhere?
I do.
How do more men find out about what you're doing?
They can go to my website, www.ggcsllc.net, and I have stuff on there. I have an entrepreneur book on there for entrepreneurs, but I don't talk about it. But I need to is on Kindle on Amazon, and it gives men a 30-day devotional on just different topics. Also what's good about it too, at the bottom of it is after each day there is if you wanted to do a group setting, asking questions like, is it hard for you to open up? When did you find it hard? And just giving you day-to-day stuff that's going to help you get through the day.
So I'm going to repeat that and never worry, guys, because we always include the social media links and websites that our guests give us. We always put those in the description so you can find them easy. But Craig said www.ggcsllc.net. Did I get that right?
Yes. Hmm.
I am really encouraged that you have that in book form. Just the whole title is it's so resonating and grabs you, right? I
Hmm.
don't talk about it, but I need to. That is so true. What's next for you, Craig? Is it is it more of the same, which would be fine? I mean, you've got your
Uh,
light work right here, but is there something new coming down the pike that the Lord's put on your heart
there's
too?
actually there's a couple things I'll be working on. I'm working on a couple other books right now, trying to let the Lord lead me. First is one on grief and loss, a devotional for 365 days, because people need to understand the difference. See, a lot of people think grief and loss is I call it loss and grief. I kind of switch it a little bit because you're not grieving until you lose something. So you lose something, then you grieve. But people don't understand leaving, like me, leaving my wife, my kids to come down here to get things set up. That's a loss.
Yeah.
I grieve. I'm sleeping in my bed by myself. I don't have my wife with me. I don't have my grandchildren seeing able to. So that's a loss, but people don't think that's a loss.
Mhm.
Moving from a different spot and trying to find a church, you're grounded and rooted in one. Now you're moving another. That's a loss.
Yeah.
Then you're losing, you may have lost a mother, holidays. Actually, this Sunday, I'm doing a how to help people. I'm just doing a free thing on my Sunday with Coach Craig. I'm doing a how to help people dealing with grief and loss, giving some suggestions of how to help someone. Not if someone's at the, to give you one example, if someone's at the dinner table and that loved one is not there and that person gets up, give them a minute. Let them
Mhm.
deal with the tears and the pain. Don't go back to them and go, you need to be coming back to the table because everybody's missing you. No. But even at if the person goes, I want to go home, you say, go home. Don't force them because you're causing too much pain and they don't know how to deal with it. So let them say, I'll call you and check on you later, or I drop a plate back by or check on the next day. So I'm going to be doing something like that on Zoom. So if anybody wants to, they can go to my Zoom link on there. And then also, so dealing with that, so the different. And then also, my next one I'm working on is dealing with church hurt, but it's going to be called Misused Authority, and the subtitle will be Church Hurt, because people have to understand there's different types of misused authority. And one thing they need to understand, are they, did they leave the church because what I call position hurt? They didn't get the position because they weren't on fire. They didn't want to do it, but another person came in that God sent, because people think they can't be replaced. And God's like, I will send somebody to do what I want them to do. Then they get church hurt, and
Mhm.
then they get position hurt, and then they leave the church and blame the church. And actually, no, it was you didn't do what God wanted you to do. So God said, I have other people in place. Don't even think that you are the only one I got. I got ministers, I got preachers, I have a ton of servants that are willing to do it. They just may not be there yet. So dealing with that, then just dealing with just how to start healing from that church hurt. Because I went through it for 20 something plus years. Um, People were good and they got titles, then it went to a whole different level. So just giving people the options to don't blame God, um, to let God use you and take one of my pastors, Pastor Carlos Lopez of the Bread House Highland Church. He said this to me: take everything that was bad, get rid of it. Take everything that was good and keep it. And those one things I've kept what he said. Everything bad I left, everything good, teaching wise or loving wise, servant wise, I kept it. So I'm going to be doing those two things. So
Yeah, I appreciate the wisdom in those thoughts. I always say, not because it's my quote, but you've heard it said that what happened to you is not your fault,
right.
but the healing is still your responsibility. And
Hmm.
even, as we get ready to close out here, even Jesus in John 4, he approaches the invalid at the pool who's been there for 38 years.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus is stepping over other people to get to this man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow, you can have different thoughts on that. Why didn't he help this guy or this gal?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
he's on a mission to talk to this guy because he knows his heart and it's time to deal with his heart. And he knows the guy's going to start making excuses
Mm-hmm.
about why he hasn't been. And he does. He said, do you
Mm-hmm.
want to get well? And if you don't know Jesus intimately, you might, gosh, that's being harsh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jesus was direct sometimes, but he was never unloving.
Right.
He wanted to help this guy's heart. And
Mm-hmm.
somebody always comes in before me and gets to the water first, or he just starts spouting excuses right away. And
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is like, "Look, do you want to get well or not? I'm the life giver. I can change this with a snap of a finger."
Mm-hmm.
I think the guy was full of excuses because he knew there was going to be responsibility that came with it. Because with healing always comes responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of men out there, and I am not judging at all because I can tell you I got a long way to go myself,
Mm-hmm.
and God's brought me a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And because He's healed me of some specific things along the way, I now have a responsibility to pour back into other people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you have to be ready for that responsibility that comes with healing. And
Mm-hmm.
I love your thoughts on that, and then we'll close out.
Yeah, the question he asked, "Wilt thou be made whole?" A lot of people do give excuses. We murmur, we complain, because we don't get the support we need from other people that are there. Why couldn't they just bring me over or whatever? I'll use example. Because when the angel came to stir the pool, what happens if you just crawled one step, I mean, one arm at a time each day? Where would you have been?
Yeah.
you know, but the will thou be made whole, and that it was a yay or nay response. It was not, if I don't do it, no, you're either going to do it or not going to do it. If you say yay, you're going to be healed. And if you say nay, you're going to be in the same predicament. So what do you choose?
Mm.
Do you choose the yay or do you choose the nay?
I love that. I love that. Choose the yay or choose the nay. It's always a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Choose wisely.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Craig, I can't thank you enough for what you're doing, specifically to help men, how you're serving men, how you're being a great example to them, and how I am sure you're being vulnerable with them about all that you've learned and are still learning
Yes,
about
yes.
what who the man God wants you to be. And I look forward to hearing about these new books that God's put on your heart as well. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your experience, but most of all, your heart for God, your heart for others comes shining through. This has been extraordinary conversation, and I thank you for the servant that you are.
Thank you for the opportunity to be on, to get the word out, to reach people, because I'm quite sure people that are watching this on the rerun, God has a plan for someone. It may just be one, doesn't matter. The one hears it and begins to change their life. It's always all worth it, no matter if 10,000 watch it and just that one, just like when Jesus went back for that one.
That's right. That's right. Guys, reach out to Coach Craig. If anything has resonated with you, we'll have how to reach him in the show notes with his website. Guys, like I said at the beginning, you guys are valuable. You guys are worthy. You guys are a treasure. Let me say something to you that maybe a couple of you have heard before, but I doubt very many. God actually delights in you. Really think about that. He delights in you. I don't emotionally feel delightful. That's probably not going to be a word that people use to describe me, but God's ways are different. God delights in each one of us. And your story's not over yet. He's got an
Mhm.
amazing story he's writing with your life right now, like he has with Craig. He's not done with you. Be encouraged today. Stay blessed. I appreciate each one of you. I appreciate Craig. Guys, have a blessed day. Till next time, stay blessed.
Amen.